Hi guys, so today I would like to touch up on layoffs and how no one is immune to layoffs, and in today's job market especially, layoffs is a part of a company restructuring for whatever that may mean to the company. A company does have to restructure their balance sheets, their company as a whole. So it doesn't necessarily affect one particular department. It most of the times impacts the finances of the company, a company as a whole. So when I talk about that no one is immune to layoffs, I myself have been impacted by layoffs. I never thought that I would be impacted by layoffs, but here we are, myself being affected. And when it happens to you, you never expect for it to hit so hard. And I know I mentioned layoffs a bit in my other video, but it does hurt because or at least in my case, the way I feel, I've produced for the company. I give so much potential, and have delivered in all my projects to the company, and I make the company a lot successful because I hire quality candidates. I also hire within a short time frame versus other recruiters who might not be able to recruit as within the time frame that we are given, which are indicators of our KPIs, but which is a metrics. But that's another discussion. But I just wanted to stay focused on the layoff. So part of being affected by a layoff does impact not just yourself, but if you have family, if you have kids, this impacts you as a whole, right? Because it's not just you as an individual, but your family. So in my case, that was true. Me having a family, it impacted our livelihood, right? Where were we going to get money for paying our bills and paying our mortgage, our vehicles, our expenses, right? That daily expenses, right, that you have. So one of the things that you will find useful is if you have just been laid off, normally you should get a severance package. Most individuals don't because in most cases, a lot of individuals were not working in a professional or in a job that is classed to be able to give you a severance package. In my case, I was able to get the severance package, but a severance package won't save your life. It's gonna help you, right? Feed the hurt, to be able to still feed your family. But one of the things you need to focus on is apply to unemployment benefits. When I say that, I mean that if you did do everything you could and they let you go for no control of your own, please apply and get assistance. I used to not want to do that, right? But at one time it was told to me that why not apply to these benefits when you've worked for it? And I've worked since I was a preteen. So I mean, my social has been active since I was a kid. And so yeah, of course I deserve this money, right? And it was at no fault of my own. And for the most part, it's at no fault of your own in most of you guys' cases. So, please seek help. Don't get deteriorated as far as feeling guilty, because the guilt will hit. I myself felt guilty. I myself felt like, oh my God, who am I? Or I am not able to provide. And looking for a job is a full-time job. So you do have things you need to focus on. But the main thing I would let you know is step away. When you're giving the severance package, or the layoff letter letting you know you've been laid off. Um, some people don't have the luxury of having a layoff letter. Some just are told that they're being let go. They're not. They're part of a layoff group. So it's really just depends on what group you're classified in. If you are, kind of like an hourly employee or stuff like that, not a salary. Like for instance, in my case, um, as a salary employee, you're affected differently than someone that is just an hourly employee. Not to say that that's any minimal damage because that affects us all, right? So, but the thing is, what I'm trying to tell y'all is don't get down. Don't push yourself. You know, talk down to yourself. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I myself have done all of that. I myself just, you know, I'm one of my biggest, what is it? I judge myself a lot, in other words. So I'm my biggest critic. And I don't even know when to criticize myself because, or me, because I definitely do that on my own. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing to criticize yourself, but you gotta learn to step away. Talk to a close friend or family member that you can confide in, that, you don't wanna let anybody know immediately you got let go. Just talk to someone you can trust. And you don't need someone to say, well, you lost your job because of you. That's the last thing you need. You don't need that. What you need is someone that is going to be understanding and is going to say, hey, you're going to be okay. Take a break, dust off your resume, apply for an employment, do your due diligence on trying to, make yourself kind of resourceful while you're not finding a job. But one of the main things that I've learned is what would happen to me is I would immediately take it as a hurt batch, and I wore it on me, and hey, why did this happen to me, and kind of wanted to be somber about it the whole time. But I want to be honest with you and let you know that it's okay. You're fine. You're gonna be okay. Hang in there, because life is hard, and the job market is only getting worse. As I keep mentioning, the job market is not getting any better. But the reason for this message to you is whoever's going through this, because I'm sure there is millions of people that are affected by this, and it's not going away. It's not going to end. And now with AI being introduced, AI is only taking away jobs that other people were already doing. So yeah, I mean, AI is positive for our job market and our world, but it is going to affect individuals, right? Because AIs are, humans are not AIs, right? But at the same time, with the same token, AIs are not humans. So, you really they just want to save money. The companies, and really the companies are placed in a bad, situation. For the most part, they don't want to let you go, but they have no choice. And I do see a lot of videos where people are blaming the person that are calling the person that is laid off, and I watched videos on YouTube about these calls that happened, and with the candidates, and it's understandable that that the person that is on this call, it sounds robotic, and that's why everybody believes that HR is robotic. But sometimes when you're in HR, you have to remove your emotions. For example, myself, I'm a very emotional and want to help kind of person, and so when that happens, it's hard for me to bring anyone up or let go anyone, because I don't want that to happen to somebody else, right? Or to me, I'm sorry. So that's hard to give that spill, right? And so whoever is tasked with that, hey, my hats off to them, because it's one of the hardest jobs. I will never want to do that. But I have, on that same token, I have been able to see and hear people doing not too well in their job. And I like to contact these people and let them know, candidates, hey, please do this or please do that. Now, again, this is in relation to job performance. That's another topic, but you can be affected or thrown into the layoff pool. Myself, it wasn't my performance, but I had to be, laid off because I was, affecting the balance sheet. When you do make an X amount of money, or I should say a higher amount of money, like myself, I am always going to be, looked at to leave first. So that's not to say, hey, you should make less or anything like that. I mean, remember, I've worked myself to where I am at now, or, I've been through the trenches, through the dirt, through the mud, whatever you want to call it. But I've done the groundwork. So I do deserve that, the winnings, so to speak. But again, going back to the layoffs, whoever this is being affected by, I want you guys to know, step away, get home after speaking to that good friend, just a trusted family member. I normally, what I do is I love to kind of like step away from, civilization. And even if it's at the park, go to an area, there's a nice pond or lake that I normally would go to, and I kind of just, kind of decompress my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions. And that's helped me heal through the process. And it might not be just that one time. Continue to go to the park, continue to walk, continue to do things to get you outside of your funk. If you need to lay in bed for a week, a day or two, a week, no one should ever tell you, oh, you're laying in your bed for a week. No one should judge you. As long as you know you're gonna get back up as soon as you finish venting, or that's your process. Don't let anybody tell you what you should do. If you know what's best for you, do you. Don't do harm. Don't do self-harm. Mean to yourself, because in my situation, I have kids, so I have to think about, them too, it's hard, but life is what it is now. The job market is only getting worse. Let's hope for the best. Now with AI being presented or introduced to, affecting all this jobs and companies and industries, just understand that some of these things are not within your control. And that's one thing that I didn't want to understand. I used to think that, hey, I can control this, I can control that, right? I can control the narrative to everything. But that's not true. You can't. You can't fight what's already done, right? And that doesn't mean that you are a bad employer or a bad person, or you didn't perform for the most part. Now, there is some people out there that didn't perform. But at the end of the day, if you weren't given an opportunity to do your best, and or at least give a kind of like a what we call a performance evaluation, review, it's something that it's going to be it's not within your control again. Okay, so one of the main things is mental health. Mental health is number one, and that's the main thing that I want to talk about. Is mental health is taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, taking care of your loved ones, right? If you don't take care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of your family. So I just want you to know that, because I've been through this myself, and I know what it is to go through that. And it affects your mental health, because you're like, wait a minute, how am I supposed to make money? I'm a person that I'm very independent since I was a teen. Actually preteen, I was selling chocolates, house to house, you know, getting we would sell a chocolate for $6, and I was I think I was 13 years old, and I was going house to house, you know, selling these chocolates, and I was get about $1.50 per whatever I sold, whatever products. It wasn't just chocolates, it was like candles and mats, you know, coloring. I think it's coloring mats, if I'm saying it correctly. But I have always worked, you know. I worked, you know, at Kroger as a supervisor when I was probably 16, and then I worked at Fiesta, and you know, just on and on and on. I never stopped working, honestly. So if you're giving the time and you work like me, you've always, you know, been independent like myself. I hate to ask someone, hey, I need this, I need to pay this, hey, I refuse to do it. So I will try to find a way before I can even ask someone. Why? It's just part of who I created myself to be. It's not someone that I like to, you know, take people's help, and you know, I don't like taking people's money, you know, just to help myself. So I'll try, before I even ask anybody, I'll have to, you know, pretty much be in my deathbed in order for me to ask for some help. But when it comes to the money, but don't be afraid. If you have to, you have to. Okay, that's nothing against you, but I just wanted to let you know that your mental health is affected by these layoffs, that you have no control over. Take care of your mental health. Step away, because I don't know if you noticed, but when something like that happens to you and you're in a situation, whether it's with your friends or anywhere else, your family, you know, things can spiral out of control because of your emotions that you need. They should actually, companies, to be honest with you, when you're being laid off, that should, or you know, let go for whatever reason, that should come with therapy. I guess I should advocate for therapy, right? I think we all need therapy after that, because it's really hard. A lot of people, I think, in other countries, I hear them a lot. For example, my parents are Mexicans, and I was born here in the United States, but my first language was English. I didn't even understand Spanish, or could even speak it. I used to have to do, you know, hand signals to speak to my parents, but I ended up later on learning how to speak it, but it was not within my, you know, something that I had it in me to wanted to learn it. My parents literally just dropped my brother and I in Mexico, and anyway, just that's how we ended up picking up the Spanish. But it was a little rough Spanish. I had to kind of like, you know, adjust it a little bit. Like it was like, you know, the language they speak over there in the part where they live, but because it's different everywhere. So I just want to let you know that you're going to be okay. Hang in there, step away, breathe, and look at YouTube videos. You know how many YouTube videos out there that I've looked at for help? Don't be afraid to look for that. Don't be afraid. I'd rather you look for help. And then if you're actually wanting to do something to yourself, your mental, because your mental health does get affected. I myself have my wherever I work as a person, right? It's by identity, right? So that's something that gets affected. So step away, take a deep breath, don't harm yourself. If you ever need to harm yourself, comment somewhere, and in this YouTube video, people will reach out and say, hang in there. But there is, a 1-800 national suicide number that you can reach out. I don't have it at hand, but there is a number that you can reach out for help. But I'm saying that because I do unfortunately hear a lot of bad stories, right? About, people doing this to themselves. And trust me, it's a very bad situation to be at. I've been affected, like I said, and your mind can go there. Not that I was gonna self-harm myself, not that, but you just feel like the world is coming, on top of you, right? So hang in there. You're gonna be good. Seek help if you can. Call the 1-800 number. Have a conversation with them. See if they can, recommend any programs, right? That offer assistance, especially for people who just been let go from work. So again, hang in there. All right, guys. Bye.